Hello and welcome back. I figured I would do a couple of side projects while I was waiting for the parts for the 3812 to come in. So I set that aside. I need two resistors, and they should be here. Well, hopefully they'll be here tomorrow. Otherwise, Saturday or Monday. But in the meantime, I've psyched myself up. I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to restore that 624 that I just don't have the heart to destroy. Of course, I haven't tested the coils or anything yet, so I may get destroyed yet. But anyway, so one of the items that I was working on, that I was going to need to do, was, in case you don't remember, the dial glass that came with the 610 was really messed up. Actually, both the bottom and the top. So, being that I took the 624 set's perfect dial glass and used it in the 610, and being that the 624 probably won't be used too much, I didn't want to go ahead and swap it and put it back. As it is, I'm going to have to go ahead and take the dial for the 624 and I'm going to have to put it back. And unfortunately, I went to Chuck Schwartz's webpage. He's the one that sold the more authentic looking 610 dials, and guess who's out of them? So I'm going to need to I'm sorry, I said Chuck Schwartz, didn't I? Mark Oppett, his site. So I'm going to have to email and see if he's going to do another run at any time soon. But since I won't be doing the 624 for a while, I can wait. So I thought I'd figure out what I could do with the dial glass. And so I finally took it to the idea that what I was going to need to do was fix it. And I wasn't sure how I was going to do that, so I took a look at it, and since most of the black lines still seemed to be, well, some of the black lines were still on there, and they seem to have been, I don't know, printed on, or at least it's a mirror-like, almost translucent or opaque paint of some sort that they used. So first thing I did was I set out to find a match for the beige, the background color. I actually found that relatively quickly. I went down to the hobby store and picked up some of the Tester's Model Master. The color that actually turned out to match was U.S. Army and Marine Sand. So that's this one here. And actually, it matched quite perfectly. I figured it was not going to do a very good job, but it was going to be better than these big, empty spaces here. Anyway, so that color turned out to match so well that, with the exception of this one area down here, which I'm going to go ahead and redo, and I'll show you how I was going to do that. I can't tell where the holes were now. But if I turn it around, you can see how much of it I actually painted on. And when I turn it back again, like I said, with the exception of this little area down here where the black is missing, and all the other parts blended in, and you really can't tell. So, being that that little triumph there got me all kind of stoked, I figured, how can I get the lines back in here? So I schlepped myself back down to the model place, and what I found was this graphite metallic. It's an opaque metallic paint that's graphite gray, and lo and behold, it is almost well, actually, it is quite perfect. It shines just like just like the what's on there already. I've already got the major lines done. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's definitely working. So what I've been doing, since this is so tedious, and you can see where I've got it on the back there, so I've been painting the lines in as best I could with a 20-0 paintbrush, which is basically about 5 hairs glued together. But so what I've done is as best as I can, freehanding the lines in and then letting it sit for a few minutes, and then take one of these little elegant toothpicks and go ahead and I've been cleaning up my lines, and it's working out very well, but like I said, it's very tedious, so I have to keep taking breaks. But I'm almost done, or pretty much done with the lines, I think. So, well, I got a little more filling to do. And then I'll go ahead and paint it with the sand. And then I was going to paint black over the whole top of it, and then I have to do something. I guess I'm going to have to get a piece of matting material or something and figure out how to make a new backing for it. And hopefully, at least from a few feet distance, you won't be able to tell. Anyway, so like I said, it's I'm pretty pleased at how this has been turning out. So, in the interim, I contacted our local club. We have a bit of a Philco file, which I guess I'm going to start getting called if I don't start collecting other brands of radio. He'd helped me try to identify a knob for the 16B because it was missing the fine-tuning knob, and it was also it had I actually have it right here. It had. It had this selector on it, which is totally wrong. It's brown and it belongs on a 1937 or a 38 model. And in the place of, they had this knob where the fine tuning knob went, and that's not the right knob. So anyway, he helped me find that knob. And another thing that he helped me find was for the 40 125. Dun 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 dun. And no, this isn't pizza. A complete speaker, a 36 1469 model speaker assembly, which, according to the schematic, is dun, 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 in here somewhere. This is the 4125, right? Well, geez, I'm making this go really long, but it is the correct speaker part number. 36 1469, right on the schematic there. So, bully for me. And I went ahead and ohmed it out, and it's good. The only problem was that the speaker did have a few tears in it, and just like the other speaker, you know, the material they used on this particular model of speaker, or these speakers, is really thin. I've even got a few more spots I need to kind of touch up because the paper is so thin up around, the cone is so thin around up here. So this is a good speaker, no rubbing. So I'm set for the 40 125. So I feel real fortunate about that, and this was $7 for the whole thing. So anyway, that was good. Another item that I was able to pick up, I got these for free though, were a couple of dead caps for fillers for the 610, although this one's a little bit short, but at least it's the right top. So I figure I'll take this this Aerovox. I'll put this in the back where the 16 is supposed to go, and then I'll bring the other empty can up into the where you can see it, and I'll put this one next to it, and it'll look pretty close to the way it should. Another item that I was able to pick up were, oops, realized you can't see what I'm doing. I was able to pick up a couple of light bulbs for the 624. The 624 used a special 2 volt 0.06 0.06 amp pilot lamp. So this is going to say these, and they do work. This, and of course I have one extra. So this will save me from having to rewire it to accommodate a 47 bulb, which was what most people do when they restore those. Another item that I picked up for a couple of dollars, although I feel bad because the boxes that the Philco parts were in were attacked by silverfish. So this actually is not a Philco part, although it wasn't a Philco box, but basically this is a replacement switch and volume control for a 610. It's or I guess you could use it with any radio. It's just it's 500K. The reason why I got this was because I seem to have an issue when I go to clean switches. Although this one's sealed, so I would have to take it apart anyway. But when I go to clean switches, all I end up they do come clean, but what I end up doing, and I've got 2 radios that are this way now, is the junk that accumulates on them, I end up shoving the dirt all the way to the one end and all the way to the high end and the low end. So consequently what happens is I get crunchy volume at the low end. I probably do at the high end, but I never go that high anyway, so I don't really care. I'm having that problem in the 610. I have that problem in my PT6. I'm having that problem in my little Sonora. See, I have collected other than Philco. And the problem is that it's always down at the low end, where to get past it, the volume ends up being too high in most situations. So when I go to clean the 610, this is kind of my little insurance policy, that if I take the switch apart and break it, I have a backup solution. So there was that, and lucky me, I found an actual Philco replacement part. It's an oscillator. It's a Philco universal oscillator from 1947. I have the paperwork too. I found it online and printed it out. But this is a universal oscillator to whatever, oscillator transformer that will replace any oscillator from the 1930s up through 1947. It's got multiple taps on it, so and the paperwork tells you which taps for which radios. So that was pretty lucky to find that, and this was only a couple of bucks too. So lucky me. That's just in case that the oscillator coil is bad in the 3812. As you remember, it, unless they reversed it on the schematic, I've got them kind of out of tolerance. And I still don't know if that matters much or not. And I believe, yeah, that's the end of my little treasures for my Philco treasures. Another thing I picked up is, once word gets around, everybody seems to have somebody's old radio somewhere. So I was given this Philco which I don't want any lectures about plugging in old radios. It's a little Philco clock radio. It's a 53701. I do have the knobs. This was in somebody's garage for years. The radio has long since quit working. It just hums, is what I was told, and I hooked it up to the Variac. There were no shorts or anything, so which is why I had it plugged in, just checking to see how well the clock was telling time. It seems to be keeping time, at least it has for the last 6 hours. So this is a broadcast and special services, although interestingly special services is kind of silly. But special services is pretty much the old police band. I mean, it goes from 1700 to 3.4. There's a switch on the back. It's painted Bakelite, which I hate, actually. It seemed like it was in a lot better condition before I cleaned it. And this thing was, I mean, absolutely filthy. Since it was in the garage, and it used to work, and apparently people would take their greasy hands, and the knob just, there was so much gross oil on there and everything. So anyway, this is going to be a little side project of mine. One of the interesting things I found about this one, this set, was that I haven't seen too many old clock radios that actually have a pilot light in it, or a lamp in it, and this does. Now, I haven't actually taken it apart yet, so I don't even know where the lamp is. I'm assuming it's behind the radio dial. Anyway, that's going to be kind of fun. The antenna's a little loose there, so it has to be glued back on. So that'll be just a little side project I've got going, or I will have going. I guess that pretty much wraps it up for this. Yeah, that's it. So that's my little side projects. I think what I'll do with this is I might just kind of do, since this was free, and I'm just assuming I can make it work. I think what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and strip it and paint it. I think I found a Krylon color that matches this one. If not, I may just embellish. I wasn't really, like I said, it was free, so I'll keep it. And since I don't really do this for, to be sold, it looks like I missed some grease here. Man, that's gross. Yeah, I may embellish, and no, I won't be doing it hot pink, because I know that there's a John out there that would probably suggest that. So I'll go ahead and I don't know when I'll work on this one. I got to take it apart, and it's got some serious dust bunnies in it, and it is missing the two knobs. I'll get those from. I have a club meeting this weekend, and I already gave a heads up to the knob man at our club, so he's gonna bring his some clock radio knobs and match them up. I don't think on this one I think the sleep timer here is seized. The pins were bent, and I tried to turn it as best as I could, and it just does not want to move. And since the pins were splayed open, my assumption is that somebody tried to wrench it and broke. That's how one of the knobs got broken. And I'm sure the way the other one got broken was that with the time set here, you have to pull on this to set the time. And I'm assuming that eventually it got pulled off. So anyhow, it's kind of an ugly little green color. And we'll see how it cleans up. And also there's this splatter of God only knows what on the side here. Actually, it kind of looks like dried blood. But it will not come off. So that was what's prompted me that I was going to paint it, was whatever that gunk is. It's on there, and it's splashed on the front as well. So yeah, this is just your typical All-American 5 with a pilot light in it. So, or a lamp, whatever you want to call it. And I can see that, I guess this is, the dial is backlit, and it's got holes in it, and it's colorful too. So the Philco transitone lights up on that one. So that should be interesting. It looks like it's red. And as soon as those parts come in, I will get back to the 3812 and we'll see. Geez, it'll be time to fire it up, I think. And then as long as it's working, then I can clean the chassis. It's not that dirty, but it does need to be, parts have to be taken off so it can be cleaned. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I will talk to you later.